Good. Okay, welcome to our online session number 2 this online week. And this is, like I said yesterday, the last online week that we have. But it's an intensive because we will see you again tomorrow and the day after that. And let's see the program for today. We will start with our Dean Marianne Kukko soon. And after that, again, we will have breakout rooms. We want you to have a nice chat again with each other. And then, Kairat, later we have a guest with us.
Да, у нас будет одна из наших участниц этой программы, Жанар Мукаш, доктор PhD, заведующая кафедрой компьютерных наук, университет SDU, факультет инженерии и естественных наук. Благодарим Жанар за то, что она проявила инициативу и решила выступить. Жанар будет выступать по вопросам обеспечения качества высшего образования на примере своего университета, университет SDU. Спасибо, Рахмет.
Very good. We will meet or hear that later. And after that, Essi and Kairat will host a discussion like yesterday. So be prepared to choose volunteers again. So if someone wants to be volunteer, we demand that someone wants to be volunteer from the university one, rural school one, and quality assurance one, just like yesterday. So you can start figuring out who would be the volunteer. And then we will have another breakout room at the end about the discussion. And that's it for today. And maybe we will start now with Marianne Kukko, who is the dean here in our university, in our teacher education, and she's also the boss lady of Pia and me.
Okay.
Our manager. Please, Marianne.
Okay, thank you. I have never been regarded such a great name, boss lady. I will take that home at least. Yeah. Yeah. Nice to meet you all. I'm really delighted to be here. And as Johanna said, I'm the dean here in School of Professional Teacher Education. I'm quite new in HAMK. This is my 9th week, I think. And my background is that I'm a PhD in knowledge management and Master of Science in Business Administration and Economics. I also have pedagogical qualification. And when we discussed with Johanna that I'm joining this program also, I was really delighted, but I was also challenged because Johanna said that, well, something of the leadership and things like that. And I was discussing with Johanna that what would be the perspective that I would bring. And then I was thinking that, well, my background is that I have been, well, I would say that some guideline in my career is change. In most of my work, I have been facing different changes, or I would more like to be talking about renewal is more positive word, and it tells us that we are not changing everything. We are keeping good things what we have and taking new things besides it. And in my career, I have been, for example, when I was a researcher and teacher in university, my main field was well, change, and especially in context of organization growth. And then I went as director of administration to Vocational Institute, and there we had many merges behind, and we were also making merges, and once again change and a renewal there. And then I was asked to be the director of one of the Finland's biggest university merges, where also University of Applied Sciences were taken a part of this well, it wasn't merged to universities, but it was such as that they were I don't find the word now. Yhteisö, community. They were taken a part of the community of the university. And after that, I have been working in private sector also, but working with different educational institutions. And with them, we have been working in organization renewals and also changing leadership culture, giving advice to leaders and such. And when I have been working in field of professional teacher education, of course, we have projects where we help different educational institutes to better their teaching, but also to renew their teaching processes and the education guidelines and such. So I was thinking that, well, change, and also one perspective that I have always been carrying in my perspective is the culture, the organization culture. How does it affect on the change that we are making? So Johan agreed that the perspective of renewing organization culture is fine. So for today, I hope that, well, I'm not giving you a very theoretical speech. I'm here more to give you perspectives, and what I hope from these about 30 minutes or 40 minutes that you would have some thoughts that, well, what we are now facing, what has the culture, what is the meaning of culture in there, and how should we regard it, and how we could take a grab of the culture to make the change or the renewal even better, or make it happen. So giving some thoughts and ideas for you to proceed with. Now, I was changing the slide, but Johanna, could you change the slide there, because I have the English ones here? Yeah. So the perspectives of organizational culture in renewal that I choose to take here is that, first of all, why should we pay attention to organization culture in renewal? And one perspective is also that I feel that many people say that it's really difficult to lead culture because we cannot see it, basically. What is it? It's something intangible. But I give you some examples that how can we manifest culture in practice. And then I go a little bit scratching that how can cultural change be started. And Johanna, could you change the slide again? Yeah, thanks. So why I see that why leading organization culture is important. As you heard that I have been in quite many changes involved, and as I think that we all know that every organization has its own culture. So it's always there, whether we want it or not. So the question is, especially in renewal, that do we just want culture to appear? Do we want it to be built like randomly? Or do we want to take the lead and decide that what kind of culture we want to build and what kind of culture supports our renewal? So I think that it's a matter of that. Do I want to be the driver of the change, or am I more on the passenger seat? So, and also when we lead the culture, we consider that, well, what kind of culture we need or we want to build that supports the renewal. It also gives us as possibilities or challenges, because for example, when I was leading this university merge, our board of directors forbid us to define the new organization culture. We had 2 universities with really strong organization cultures, and they had really different cultures. And we were forbid to define that what would be our future on a cultural aspect. And this actually, it ended up that we had really big difficulties on the process of the merge, where we were planning new processes, new practices, getting people to know each other, getting people from different faculties, different fields to discuss with each other, because we didn't have this common spine for the new organization. And it ended up like people were fighting with each other, unfortunately, the managers of different processes and projects, they were really struggling there that what kind of process should we plan? What are the new processes, for example, for recruitment, for financial decision making, and basically in everywhere. So it was really hard to lead the change because we had cultures, but every people was a little bit like thinking that my new university is like this, and the other person was thinking that, well, no, it's like this. So we did have almost 4,000 different perspectives that what kind of organizations we were building, and it was really a struggle. And of course, I hope that I can say you some good examples where we had this common organization goal, and there the culture was really a strength. It was creating possibilities for the renewal. And typically, it's also why I regard it really important that we define our culture. Culture is that it's also like a spine for management. It's easier for us to tell our people that what we are expecting from them, and also from the perspective that typically leaders and managers, we are examples for our people. So how we operate, how we speak, we are always followed, even though that we don't even notice that people are looking at us, that what we are doing, what we are saying, and so on. So if we don't have a common understanding as leaders that what kind of organization we are building, we have different realities that we are building there. It's really hard to go to common goals there. But if we have defined a common culture, it's easier, for example, to say people why we are doing things like what we are doing, why we are doing decisions like this, why we are building this kind of processes, and so on. So it's like a backbone, really, a spine for all of us. And also, I think that when we define organization culture, is also it's kind of a tool to take people in to the renewal process, because it's really good when you plan the renewal process also from the perspective of culture. You should plan also, for example, meetings and processes where you take people involved to discuss about the new culture. So it's really a good tool to get people involved in the renewal. And of course, we have to remind that as culture, it's created everywhere in the organization. Every person of their organization is building the culture. And so it's really important that we discuss with the people that they know that this is expected from you and this is not. So then we can also use the whole potential when people know that, well, I know that I'm expected to behave like this and do things like this, because then they are not in wondering that what should I do, what should I not do, because I know the expectations that are directed towards me, and then they can use their full potential on focusing on the work and work which leads to right direction also. And one perspective is also that when you start building an organizational culture on a really systematic way and taking personal accord, it's also a good side that you are not only managers and the leaders are leading the change of the culture, because when you are deciding a process where you take the people involved, they are like they are peer-to-peer coaching each other, taking discussions and talking about what is allowed in our new culture and what is not allowed. So they are like little managers for each other and building networks of taking steps towards the goal culture. Could you, Johanna, change the slide? Yeah. So those are the main reasons why I really say that pay attention to culture and take the leading role of the culture for yourself. Don't just let it happen. It's really good a tool for you to make the change that you want to have. And I said that one problem in leading culture is that people typically say that, well, you cannot lead culture because it's intangible. I can grab it and I can see there or there. I know just someone can describe the culture, but it's totally invisible. But I think that Edgar H. Schein has made really good framework for to make culture more visible, more tangible, and this is also something that we have used in many cases where we have consciously worked on organization culture, because it really helps people to understand what culture is all about. And this in this slide is only one example of one organization, but I think that it's easier to understand this thing through an example. So in one organization where they were facing challenges, and they decided that, well, we have to define our organization culture again. What kind of culture will be supporting our organizational goals? And we used this Schein's framework, and there in the bottom line there is these basic underlying assumptions. So those are the things that, for example, that how we see people, what is regarded good or bad. So really like things that what we value, what we don't value, and that kind of things. So first they defined these basic underlying assumptions. So those are the red ones over there. So they defined that first of all, one really important thing in our function is that we find that all the people who are working with us are reliable, and also we rely on our customers and other people. So it was really important thing for them. And the second one was that they regarded that, well, the wisdom, it's not only something that managers and leaders have, but every person that is recruited who is working in our organization is really professional and has wisdom. So we should utilize all the wisdom that we have in our organization. The third point was, or third basic underlying assumption was that in everything that we do, the guiding line is competencies and expertise. Not, for example, the organizational position where the person is, but everything that we do, we think that what is the expertise and competencies that are needed here. Not like that we are making some decision and thinking that, well, okay, the rector or the president should be here, even though that he wouldn't have the best knowledge. But the people who has the best knowledge is in the central part. And also really important perspective was that we want people to feel free, that they are reliable, and they really use their competencies and knowledge, and are not afraid of mistakes. And we really want people to be innovative at doing things, and not doing things because they are afraid of mistakes. So this perspective was really crucial also for them, and then they defined this basic underlying assumption that mistakes teach. We allow and we understand that people may take mistakes, but we also want people not to hide the mistakes that they have done, but to think that, well, this is the mistake, I will raise it up to discussion, that how can we learn from this mistake. And also one really important for them was this financial point of view. So they really wanted the people, because they wanted them to make decisions and so on, and they wanted to be also financially well and profitable and so on. So they regard that the people to work well, and again towards our goals, it's really important that everyone understands what are our baselines when it comes to financials and our business. And when they had defined these basic underlying assumptions, they defined more specific goals and values, as you can see here. So making things together, not these like private entrepreneurs in working together, but making things together there, and making things as open and transparent as possible. And also the trust was really important for them. And when it come to goals, they thought that it's really important that we are not just selling to our customers anything that they are willing to buy, any services or anything, even though that they wouldn't need. But we only sell our services to our clients when we really know what they need. So we really know that we can help them. And then when we know their needs, we put the best competencies there to help the customers and find their best solutions. And based on these, after they have this basic underlying assumption and value work, they went further to artifacts. So now we are in the part of organization culture that is more visible. But of course, by defining and discussing about these basic underlying assumptions and goals and write it down, it's also a way to make these more visible, the discussions, and write those down, that these are our basic underlying assumptions and values and goals. And artifacts are things that are more visible, like, for example, how we dress up, what kind of processes we have, what kind of practicalities we have, and such. And here are examples of this organization. And if I take here, for example, these practices where members of teams and meetings are defined based on competencies. So for them, it was really important that no team or no meeting was such that there wouldn't be right competence or right people with right competence there. So whenever a team was created, it was really exactly defined. Well, they made a process there that what kind of process there is, that they really defined that what are the goals of the team, and then what are the competencies and knowledge that are needed there in the team, and the members of the team were defined based on those. And of course, also about the meetings, they really checked that, well, we have a meeting of these goals, this agenda, and then we think that, well, who should be there, who should not be there. And also from a little bit from the right side, one artifact that they created is that people in leading positions were invited to the meetings based on a need, not so that, well, they had a history that they had management team meetings where if people in some team or in some projects were having challenges, some member of the team went to the management team meeting, raised up the question or the problem, were discussed with the management team and got advice, or typically it went even so that the management team made a decision there in the meeting, and then this team member went back to his or her team and told the decision the management team had made. But they turned this quite opposite down, that when the team was facing challenges or needed advice, they, for example, asked the president to visit their team meeting and discussed about the issue that they were facing. And it was really important also that they decided that even though that the president went to give advice, it was the team that made the decision still, not the president, even though he was just like a guiding person there. And it really changed the way of doing, and it really, as you saw, that, well, wisdom lies every day in the organization, so it wouldn't be wise that the wisdom would have been only going there to the management team meetings and making decisions there. So these are always have to be in line, all the layers of the meeting. And also they ended up in the middle, you find that text that ending management meetings as a place for decision making. This was also something that, as they wanted that personnel really would use their expertise, not always relying on the management and the leaders, but making decisions by themselves or in a team. And they faced in some part of the change that we have a problem. People, well, they are doing things and so on, but many things they bring to management team meetings to be decided there. And that was something that they didn't want, because the best expertise was typically in the teams. And if they needed something, we had this practice that president or director of finances could go to the meetings and give advice, and based on that, the team could make the decision. And then they made this, many feel this, that at least in Finnish context, feel this really radical change in artifacts, that they ended management team meetings as a decision-making places totally. They said that there's no agenda where people can put their questions and so on, because we are not the team making decisions, because the expertise should be in every other team. And of course, they still meet as a management team, but not as a place where they would accept that someone would bring some question that we have this, give us a resolution here. And it was really a breakthrough for them. And you can see here also that, well, different other ways to make a culture more visible. That, for example, what kind of personal guide we write, and this organization, they also started to build facilitator roles there, so that the teams could be helped to make things by themselves, and not to bring them to management. And also about open availability of knowledge, as there is also as a value is transparency, because typically in many organizations we, for example, information systems, we give access to information systems typically so that we think that, well, does Marianne need to see the information that is in that system, and does Johanna need? No, Marianne doesn't, Johanna does. We give permission to that system to Johanna, but not to Marianne. But in this organization, they also, because they had this transparency as their organization cultural goal, they turned this upside down and gave everyone access to every information system. But they just made that checking that is there some, for example, some system that whereas personal information, then we will close access to those systems to some. So it's quite opposite way of thinking what we regarded how the knowledge is visible to all. Yes, and could we go further, Johanna? I'm checking my time limit. Is it okay if I go 1:45 or 10:45?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. And then once again, a few examples about how culture can be seen in different organizations. This first is from this, as I already told, that in this university merge, we were not allowed to define our cultural goals. And compared to that, there was another organization that was also, they had made a merge also, but the management decided that before we do anything regarding the merge, renew any process or any practice or anything, we start by defining what is our new organization culture. And the end result of these two organizations was really different. Basically, in both organizations, the big goals were known, but as the other one defined the new organization target goal and the other one didn't, the process that how they reach the goals of the merge were totally different. The other one, I would say that they are still struggling with basic things there, but the other organization who they took the definition of a common organization culture as a starting point, they have managed with the merge really well. And in this organization, they defined the organization culture, but they also took this kind of sprinter model as a helping tool to go towards the new organization culture. These sprinters were few leaders, few directors from the organization, but mainly the sprinters, they were persons who were leading the change, cultural change. They were few directors, but they were different experts from the organization. And their role was to build quite specific roadmap to this, I can say that this organizational cultural change, but it was also a merge roadmap. So they built a really specific roadmap, and their role was also they were really into it, that what kind of culture we are building. They were really into it, and they were like internal audits of this new culture. When the roadmap was built, there was different processes that, well, in that point, we will renew our recruitment process, for example. In that point, we will renew our strategic process of goal definition and such. So many different things there that they defined on the roadmap. But they were the audits also, that how, for example, it was a good example that when the president he was planning the strategic process of new strategy, of creating new strategy for this new company. Typically, when they would have been in their own old culture, the process would go on so that the president plans the process of strategy definition, and it would have been done as he planned. But when we had this sprinter model, and they were the audit persons of this cultural renewal, they also audited the strategy process that the president had planned. So no one was protected from this cultural audit in the process. And it was really helpful because, for example, this president said that from two perspectives, this model was really, really good. It opened his eyes really, really well, because he said that the process he had planned with the old cultural goggles on, it was really something that it was really management centric, and the people were not involved. And also he had to renew the process, and he said that, well, the new process after this audit, internal sprinter audit, the process really came much better. And he also said that it was also a test for him to notice that, well, really this our new culture that we have defined, it's much better than the old one, because now I see that how it really manifests, that now we are getting our people into different levels of our doing. So it was really, really interesting cultural renewal process. And one example also, this renewal of the organization made together with the whole personnel. It was this kind of a vocational institute. They had also, you can hear that I have been in really many merges involved. Well, they had also merges behind them, and there was really a struggle inside the organization. And we have defined that, well, now we have to really start to build a common culture. And there was also these basic underlying assumptions and values created, and then we were facing a situation where we had to renew our organization model. And if we have been in our old organization culture, I think that the process would have gone so that the management would have drawn or designed a new organization model. But when we had this new organization culture, where one key point was also that, hey, we want people to be active and taking part on different levels. So we planned that, well, we are not designing the organization model only by management, but we built these kind of groups from the personnel who take different perspectives for the new organization design. And so, like bottom up, we are building the new organization model. And it was a really important for our change at time, because it was really important thing. And people felt that now we are listened, now we are really taking into part in the really important things, and so on. And I also can say that as a result of this, because typically, at least in Finland, when we make big organizational changes, there are new roles and such. In many cases for people, it might be a struggle, and it might be hard for many people. But as we did it like this bottom up, it was quite easy change. There came big changes, but it was proposed by the personnel, and they were really committed to the changes that we made, and it went really smoothly, the change to the new model. And I want to take one example from here also, this language. because as I told that we as leaders, we are under inspection all the time, even though that we don't even recognize it by ourselves, but we are followed that how we speak, how we do things, and so on. So in one vocational institute, well, actually it was the same as there where we made the organizational model renewal. So there were different schools with different rectors, and there was big change. For example, compared to another rector, he was really taking this cultural thing seriously, and he also challenged herself by how she speaks, what kind of words she uses, and all the time when she was talking about her subordinates, he never talked about my subordinates or so. She was talking about co-workers, and she was not speaking that what I have been done, what I have reached, and so on, but what have we done together. And the atmosphere in this school compared to the other school was totally different, and also on practical level, people were more committed on doing, they were more open to discuss also about hard issues and more like oriented to find solutions and so on. So it was really dramatic. We had a same goal culture, but the other leader with his or her wording was like in this level, and the other one was really by his own wording bringing us closer to the target culture. Yeah, we should change the slide, Johanna, thanks. Yeah, and I said that many people feel it quite challenging to start to even speak or that to start to make the change of organization culture, but I think that it can be changed, but it changed only by changing when we take it into our table and start to work. And here's this science model again, but if I depict you some progress that how things can be done, it could be summarized in these phases. So first of all, it's really important that we start building the common understanding regarding the goal. So basically defining the basic underlying assumption and values and goals. If we start by artifacts, I think that we are more relying on our current culture. So starting by that, what we want from people, how we regard people, what is good and what is bad, considered bad in our organization. And based on that, so we can really define the assumptions and values and goals. And of course, it's really important. The next phase typically is that it's the current state of the culture is defined. And once again, thinking at what kind of basic underlying assumptions we have now, and how about our goals, and how these can be seen in different artifacts. And because of definition of the goal and the current state, we can also see how big the gap is between how much of work we have to do to reach the goal culture. And then, as I said, the next phase is planning concrete steps. So building really exact roadmap that what are the first things to do and what is the timeline. And I typically say that don't think that you can make at least a big cultural change in a year, but year is also a good time to do many things. So be positive, but realistic. And also it's really important that in cultural renewal process, you plan times when you assess things, you check that are we on a right route, are we, as we have planned, for example, new processes, are we following those, are we doing things as we have depicted in our guidelines, for example, and if we are not, what should we do that we would work like the processes and practices we have planned, or if we notice that, well, actually we are doing things on a new way, but it doesn't support our goal culture, what changes need to be done so that we can take the next steps. So basically making adjustments there. And it's also good to remember that renewing culture, it's like a marathon, but as I said, it's good to also think that, for example, in a year, if we just roll our sleeves and start working with a good plan, we can make a really big changes there. Then next slide, please. And that was basically a process on a higher level. And also I would also like to remind that when we renew culture, I think that we should be operating in three different levels. We should operate on the level of thinking and feeling, on the level of real actions, and also pay attention to competencies that we need. And once again, those in the middle, those are examples that how can you do this, but about thinking and feeling. So it's really important that we take the whole organization to the process of organizational cultural level. And the ways to do that is to plan the process of, for example, goal culture definition, so that there are different phases, for example, for the management, and then for a wider group, and also for the whole personnel. And remember to have informal and formal discussions. And what is really important also is that we speak about the facts, so that we word out it that what does the goal culture really means? What are the facts we correct if people feel to understand it wrongly? We say, no, we don't. If we work together, it doesn't mean that, but it means that. So these kind of discussions. But it's really also important to speak about the feelings, because we as a human people, we are also feeling things. So it's really important that because in many renewals there is fear, there is hope, and many other feelings, and it varies between persons really much. So, but that is also for management, it's really a good tool if you can see that, well, mainly people are, well, they have these scares, and you can dig deeper and ask and find out that why they are scared, what are the questions that needs to be resolved. But there's also a situation where you see that, well, even though that we are making a big leap, it may be that people are mainly feeling really enthusiastic and really wanting to make this change. So it's kind of management tool, where to focus, what should be done, where we should pay more attention, when where to not. So basically creating a common understanding and seeing that how small or big your journey is by these discussions and self-reflections and so on. And on action side, it's more about that. What are the concrete steps that we need to make to see the development towards our culture? And of course, as I said, it's really important to make exact roadmap, this process there, building these competencies there, and so on. And it's really important, as from these examples you can see that many times it's about building new things, building new roles, new organization units, new rules and principles, and new information systems and such. But it's also really important that we recognize that what is there now in our doing that is already supporting our new goal culture, because typically we are not completely changing the culture from black to white, but there's also gray to shade, shades of gray there. So I think that in many points there are a lot of things that are already there, and those should be funded and also expanded to different sides of the organization. So don't forget that either. And also one perspective that is these competencies, because typically sometimes we forget the people. We just think that, well, now we know where we are going, we have new processes and such, but we forget that, well, maybe the new processes and way of doing are so that the people don't have the right competence. And then it's time to focus also to competencies that we build. Of course, there's also typically the situation that many people have right competencies already, but typically we need to build new ones. And there's of course many ways, trainings and reading good literature and so. But few examples I would like to raise here. For example, that peer coaching. I have used it in quite many cases, and it's about that. For example, president is coaching, manager is coaching another manager of the same organization. So it's like inside the own organization, they are coaching each other, and it's really good because they have this new culture where they should also be going as managers, and they help each other to raise questions that what I'm worried about, what is where I'm struggling with the culture, how am I doing my best to go towards the new culture, and many people, they have first said that, well, it's fine, it's something that I don't want to do, it's uncomfortable or something to make peer coaching, but the end result has almost every time has been that they feel that it has been really good because you get peer-to-peer understanding, and you know that you can be you have a trust between each other, and you can bring also so many perspectives to the other, not by being afraid that, well, what would my subordinate think, or so the peer thing is there really, really good. And also about asking feedback, it's really good method also building competencies, because it's a little bit also like peer coaching, but if you support your personnel to like asking feedback from each other, am I doing, is my behavior or is my way to work such that you feel, for example, Johanna, that is supporting our culture. So these kind of discussions are really good. So feedback is really good. So I'm running out of my time or also going over, but as a last thing I would, thanks, Johanna. I would like to remind that it's good to remember that each of us, even though we are personnel or we are managers or leaders, we have our own history, and we have our own goggles on. So we see our organization, our own the working of colleagues from our own perspective. And when we are renewing culture, it's really
Marianne,
yeah.
Excuse me. Interpreters are asking if you can speak a bit slowly so that it's easier for them
Okay.
to translate.
Sorry. Yeah, I could have noticed this earlier because I get really enthusiastic and then my speed of speech goes up. Yeah. So yeah, as a last phrases, it would be really important that we notice that, well, I have my own history, and I should really reflect myself, how I see people, how I manage, how I speak, how do I feel about our goal culture, do I fit in, or do I feel that I fit in, and what are the changes that I need to do, because I think that in every cultural change, every one of us needs to take some new goggles on to make the change happen. But that's all. I think that the next slide was references, a few of those, and then thanks for you all. And if I'm looking at you, Johanna, is there any time if someone has any questions or remarks, or if someone is totally disagreeing with me, I would be delighted to hear.
Yes, of course, we have time for 1 or 2 questions or comments if you want to say something.
Коллеги, подключайтесь, очень интересная тема, культура и лидерство, да? Вот профессор Марианна Кука, отдельно вам спасибо, что ссылались на Эдгара Шайна, эксперт, который связал роль культуры в лидерстве, потому что я сам знаю, как культура влияет на лидерство, будучи проработав в региональном вузе, в Павлодарском государственном университете, и действительно, порой нам же трудно высказать свое мнение из-за высокой позиции ректора или проректора или декана. И вот был слайд, где, к сожалению, неправильный был перевод на русском языке, слайд 7, да, где там вид лампочки, где ректор или президент вуза как император, да, либо президент-ректор, то есть мы говорим имя, отчество, либо просто на уровне первого имени, допустим, там вместо Кайрата Сидыча можно ко мне просто обращаться как Кайрат, если я был бы ректором, да. Потому что в моем опыте тоже были ректора, когда я был студентом, которые выглядели как люди в черном, носили черные очки, черные костюмы, и все от них шугались. Трудно было к ним подойти. Все прям в рассыпную убегали от этих людей. Правда, этого ректора потом посадили в тюрьму из-за непрозрачности. Возможно, кто-то знает этого ректора. Но в целом я хочу сказать, что вот как культура влияет, да, на наше управление, на наш менеджмент в школах и вузах. Очень интересная тема. Пожалуйста, комментарии, вопросы.
I think that I
Да,
didn't
в
realize
русской
to
версии
tell you,
был
Maria,
неправильный
that you
перевод.
could use the
Johanna,
English
there was
channel
a...
to understand Kairat.
No,
Sorry?
I didn't hear
Sorry.
any English, sorry.
Yes, sorry, but Kairat was telling that he really liked that you used the reference of a shine, and it's very familiar to him also.
Oh, it's
And
just... yeah.
yes.
And I was saying it's good that you pointed out this, either we have this high status, prescribed status culture or first name relationships. And if we have this culture, first name relationships, treating everyone equal, regardless of the status, prescribed status, I think it's more transparent. We boost this culture of transparency, more shared understanding, shared discussion, culture of more not being fearful to say something, even though he or she is a rector or a president. If there's a mistake, then we can point out that there is a mistake or there's a misalignment. So thank you for this, Professor Mariana.
Thank you for your comment, and I really think that, for example, in Finnish organizations, there's really differences in this, that how the managers and presidents or rectors are spoken to, and I have really seen the change that where it's there's no big hierarchy. We can utilize better all the competencies and knowledge of the whole personnel. So I'm hoping that more and more Finnish companies also go into that direction. So it makes really a difference.
Mm-hmm. And with we have this new law. Recently, new law was introduced back in 2018. Law on institutional self-governance, where ministry is granting more autonomy, more academic autonomy, more organizational autonomy.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think, we're slowly getting there too, that if there's academic freedom and academic autonomy on our campuses, it's good.
Yeah, and I believe that that's also one positive sign, because it's also because of course organization cultures are also affected by national cultures. So what kind of culture we have in Finland, for example, is different from, for example, in China and Chinese organizations. So it's really good sign that if also from the government level they are giving more autonomy for educational institutions, because it's a national sign that we want people more to put their expertise on table. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Marianne, for joining us. This was very interesting, and we will continue building our culture here with our goggles.
We have to define our new organization culture, because I have been 9 weeks and I have certain ideas, but I don't have the wisdom, not at all. So I think that it's something that we should focus on also. Yeah.
Yes. And dear key expert colleagues, is it okay if we take a break at this point and then we continue with the breakout room? Is it okay for you?
Yes, good idea.
Good.
Yes. Okay, so
Thank
we thank you, Marianne, and then we will have a relaxing 10 minutes, taking a cup of tea or coffee, and let's get back to the session in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Наш следующий спикер, уважаемые участники, Жанар Мукаш, доктор PhD, университет SDU. Жанар является заведующей кафедрой компьютерных наук, факультет инженерии и естественных наук, университет SDU, да?
Султан Demirel University or SDU. Жанар, please, you would like to share your ideas regarding the quality assurance. This is the first slide of her presentation. Жанар, the floor is yours. Dear colleagues, good afternoon. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I will be happy to receive feedbacks, recommendations. I would like to elaborate on the quality management and especially monitoring of quality level. The next slide, please. So I am the head of the department. I am not the representative of the quality assurance. We have the department of the quality assurance, but I'm not the employee of this department. I am the representative of my department. We have the Center of the Corporate Development and Innovations. We also have 4 faculties: pedagogical, law and social sciences, engineering faculty that I have already mentioned, and we also have other departments, grant office. We also have the hub, Aalto Creative Hub. We also have associations. As you could see, our main stakeholders are students. This is right in the middle. This is the main stakeholders. And when we were developing this kind of our system, how exactly we're going to work and manage our university, we decided that our university system will be centered around students. The next slide, please. So quality assurance department is created, the policies on 3 levels: the education, the curriculum, efficiency, and academic reputation. They are assisting in development of every single cycle. And of course, it will meet the requirements of the students, teachers, administration will also work on something that should be done in order to ensure the quality. So, for example, if we will talk about education, how exactly we prepare the curriculum? I can elaborate on the example of my department. We are going to create the units or division where we will have the coordinators, then we create or develop the curriculum, and then we give to the advisory report. Advisory report is done twice a year, where we try to approve the new curriculum. And in this consultative council, we will have representatives from the industries. We will have our alumni, for example, the CEOs of the companies, so we will have representatives of the employers, and they would come over to this consultative council and give recommendations and feedback, so that in order to identify whether our curriculum is to the point, let's say. And we also invite students who are studying according to this curriculum. We have bachelor's, master's, and PhD. And this is how we create the community and committee of where our curricula going to be discussed. The relevance will be discussed as well, and we will also we will try to make sure that our graduates will have the sets of competence and skills that will be enough or will meet the requirements of employer. We also have methodological council where we monitor the curricula. So we have hired. So we conduct a survey after every single semester, where we touch upon different things. We call it courses and courses evaluation, where we collected the feedback on curriculum, on the results, for example, the learning outcomes, whether we had all of the, did students, for example, meet all of the learning outcomes. And these questions might be also related to the quality of the teaching. We also have the platform where students can register, and then they could also give opportunity where anyone can provide the feedback, and then this feedback normally is processed, and as a result we renew some of the processes, so we update the processes that is necessary to be updated, and it's cyclical actually. So we get the feedback, we update. The next slide, please. And then we get new feedback, then update again. The next level is the efficiency of the university. As you know, every single university has to meet the qualification requirements set by ministry. We also have SMK, which is the council for approving the different curricula, or it is actually based on the legal framework of Kazakhstan on education processes. It could be done in the faculties, for example. Faculties might have their own charter, for example, or strategy of the university that might be also look at the efficiency of the university. And what we conduct based on all of these processes is the internal audit. So we have internal audit where they would come over to the faculty, for example, and then look whether, for example, laboratory equipment is accessible to students. Can students have practices so that they could acquire competences and skills to work with laboratory equipment, for example. Then management is happening also according to the researchers, and each faculty designs their own rules where we have to agree upon alignment to the ethical norms. So quality assurance department will collect all these data from every single faculty and try to align with the ethical norms. It is approved by the rector, and then it will appear in the platform, and it also will be accessible for both teachers and students. So, for example, I have an employee who would like to, he's a senior lecturer, let's say. He would like to, for example, become assistant professor. And in order to obtain this degree, he can go to all of the rules and what he shall do, collect documents, etc. So there are many actually different rules that are on a website. You don't need to go and ask to go to middle management or top management. It is a process which is regulated already on a website. The policy of the alignment and ethics, I've already mentioned that. Also, we have the satisfactory evaluation. So what do? The same thing like for the students. We run the survey amongst teachers, administrative staff, where they could even evaluate the quality of the food in the canteen. It's anonymous, and you can be honest, and you could also ask, for example, does teacher have the space, for example, to prepare for the lectures? Does the lecturing rooms or auditoriums have all the equipment necessary for the lectures? And then you can also fill out the satisfaction survey, as we call it, and we look at the sensitive parts where we might update some of the process. Maybe in some parts we need to improve something. Sometimes we receive a feedback, and once we receive the feedback, we need to follow up. So that's what engineering processes are for. And the key moment of our university, we are a private university, and we want to have financial sustainability. So that is why we have lots of procedures that we have to align. We also have very good community of alumni. And how do we strategically plan? It happens from bottom to top. When we've been developing strategies, and our main aim was to. So when we were actually conducting the development, first of all, we run the survey. We asked what we need to do in order to have curriculum being relevant. Because, for example, in IT, we know that IT technologies are developing rapidly, very rapidly. This is the industry that you always need to keep up. And so that is why we had to ask questions, and it could be discussed. And I could say that in conclusion, we could have a goal so that in order to, for example, achieve this goal, we need to have this and this and that stages. So, for example, we also, the quality assurance department also does the risk management, and there are no specific boundaries. We have freedom of activity because our department is oriented towards adapts to the problem solving, and the next stage is the reputation of the university, because every single curriculum is also in the ranking of Atomic-N. You know Atomic-N very well. Atomic-N ranking is ranking of the all curricula in Kazakhstan.
Quality assurance занимается
The quality assurance also deals with the all of the materials, data collection, the report, writing the reports. They also deal with, we mentioned here as well, international level, international ranking. And they also participate in those processes. So membership in different organizations, for example, is also important. It's very important because, for example,
также, например, также потом мы непосредственно занимаемся, то есть
we could also interact with. We want to have international interaction and the quality, so that is why we have joint courses together with other universities, other countries. We also have different projects, for example, Erasmus, Horizon, that we're always applying for. We also have joint research projects. We also have double degree. We work with Germany now and Belgium Kent. The next slide, please. Department of Quality Assurance creates the committee in every single faculty, and in order to make them deal with the quality, and there are functions to contribute into policies of the university. And of course, quality assurance will also contribute into the decisions and all of the issues. They will put it onto the agenda. They also work with the other structures in terms of the monitoring, in order to fulfill the monitoring. They develop the mechanisms of the collecting the feedback and some of the processes of the documentation, report, etc. And in the coordination of the processes, the university could also contribute into the having the higher positions in the ranking.
Международными стандартами программы институциональной
For
аккредитации.
instance, the coordination of international processes with the accreditation program, and it assists to elevating the academic reputation of the university and increases the quality and motivation of the teaching staff and their concordance with the high standards and legislation. So briefly, that's all about the activity. Next slide, please. One of the important points of the management department is that they participate in the policy elaboration devoted or dedicated to sustainability of the teaching programs and assistance to accreditation. For instance, in SDU, for the bachelor degree, we have 78 programs, and they are in top 10 of the impact rankings, 2000 and plus, and first 1200, 1400 in terms of world university rankings. English language and literature, they take 301, 330 place. That's the rating 4. And if we take an overall rating in Kazakhstan, they're placed on the 4th place. So in terms of the Eurasian ranking, they're in 550, 650. And in Central Asia, our position is 29. Next slide, please. In addition to that, quality assurance during the implementation of institutional accreditation, the SDU were accredited. They received international accreditation for all international programs. And right now we have received the FIBA accreditation as well. This year in 2024, we're now receiving the feedback. And for the first certificate, we received it for 6 years. Next slide, please. Now, regarding the educational programs, we have 29 of them. The IAAR, AQUIN 3 programs, FIBA 7 educational programs. So basically, they have the maximum accreditation for 6 or 7 programs. And right now, my program, the one I am teaching, we are applying for ABET. It is an American Engineering Association. Why is it required? We have 95 educational programs, and the majority of them are taught in English. And right now we're focusing on international students, foreign students, and to us that recognition is very important so that we have the accreditation from international institutions. In general, this is it. That's everything what I wanted to say. I am not an expert in quality assurance. However, I am partly engaged in these activities. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. Thank you very much, Zhanar. Distinguished colleagues, questions, comments, please, the floor is yours. And Zhanar, again, thank you very much indeed. Very interesting presentation. Zhanar is one of the volunteers.
Не побоялся и выделила время с презентацией. Всех волонтеров мы поощрим. Очень
Спасибо, да.
крутым сертификатом от университета Хамк.
Да, спасибо за возможность выступить и получить какие-то фидбэки. Буду рада всем фидбэкам от зарубежных экспертов, потому что мы сейчас, вот как я говорила, что мы планируем пройти международную аккредитацию, было бы получить какие-то рекомендации.
У меня к вам такой радикальный, резкий вопрос. Если у вас есть педагогические программы, вовлекаете ли вы стейкхолдеров своих для оценки качества, для фидбэка, допустим, включая сельских учителей, директоров?
Да.
Вот, нет, директора сельских школ, как их можно вовлечь?
Просто моя образовательная программа, она больше computer science, да, то есть она больше education не относится. У нас есть департамент, который вот готовит педагогов в будущем.
And they are preparing future school teachers. And yes, they do engage them. In my program, our graduates will work as IT specialists in companies, and we engage our stakeholders based on our degree. But our colleagues from the pedagogic department, they do involve other colleagues from other universities and also rural schools as well. Okay, well, dear colleagues, principals of the rural schools who are here, we could also collect the names and share the list with you, to your colleagues. I mean, when I mean you, I mean your colleagues, the community of SDU. Okay, sounds great. Again, Janar, thank you very much. Colleagues, we do not have any questions. How come? How can this be? Good afternoon. I have a question. Janar, thank you very much for your interesting presentation, for your input. Much, much appreciated. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Janar, again. This was wonderful. Все понятно, пишет Алия. Большое спасибо.
Everything is clear, says Aliya. Thank you, Aliya.
Мгм.
Okay, Johan, shall we move to breakout discussion questions, right? For breakout session.
Thank you. This presentation was very impressive and interesting. I was just sending message also to Pia saying that excellent presentation. It was very informative, and I think that you have a very wide range of different kind of assessment and quality assurance practices. Very good.
And Johanna, there has been some questions, some answers in chat or some comments on previous breakout rooms, so I have tried to answer all of them as good as possible.
Very good.
Right, yeah. Thank you, Ari. Yeah, there was a good question about if external agency like ministry can influence and affect organizational culture at schools, and Ari gave a very good response
In Russian or in Kazakh?
in English.
I have the helper.
Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, I think that before the next activity that we have, we could have a small break, but like yesterday, we need 3 volunteers, as I told you before, and we have already 1 volunteer. Alia is 1 volunteer, but we need 2 more. Do we have in the chat anyone who has promised to be volunteer? If not, maybe we will have a small break, and after that we will ask again, after the cup of tea, who is volunteering for the next activity. Plus, let's meet back here in 5 minutes, okay? Now, Kairat, I really had a cup of coffee.
Oh, good.
Yes. In Finland, we drink a lot of coffee. Except Pia, who is drinking green tea more than is allowed.
Quite
It's
a lot,
healthy and
about
good.
3 liters today.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Mm. Okay. Impressive. Yes. Okay. Okay, let's see.
Pia,
Let's
did
see
you
if we
manage
are all
to
ready.
Pia, did you manage to invite Oksana? Or
I invited her. I sent the email message. That's the only way. So
Oh.
I wish she has got it.
okay.
Colleagues, about asking those volunteers, I was wondering, should we show beforehand the questions so that they could know to what thing we are asking them to volunteer?
Essi, you are so sweet. This is something that we didn't tell yesterday in advance, but now that you are here, I think that it's a good idea. So maybe we will show them. So, Essi, maybe you want to tell us something about this and host with Kairat.
Yes. So, well, yes, dear colleagues, we have some questions here related to quality assurance. We would like to hear your comments, your opinions. There is no wrong or right questions. And now we are looking for the volunteers who are willing to join in discussion.
And I just sent the Russian version, русскую версию вопросов, которые вы видите на слайде, я отправил в чат.
And I just sent the Russian version. The Russian version you can see formulated in the chat.
And there was one volunteer, as I said before the break. Maybe, Kairat, you can find it in the chat. It was Alia Mukseva.
Alia
I don't know the pronunciation again, sorry.
Alia Mukusheva. Yes, she's here.
Yes, good. Thank you.
Alia, thank you for all your volunteering efforts. Alia, да, у нас есть Alia. И еще мы ждем 2 волонтеров.
Yes, indeed. We have Aliyah and 2 more. We need 2 more who have that burning desire to be a volunteer. Well, maybe not to all of them, maybe one of them. Let me read through the questions. Is that okay if I only answer to the 3rd question? Yes, that would be fine.
Oh, are we starting now? One moment, Janibek. I see. Or shall we
Yeah, we
wait?
can start now, and you can, yeah.
And yeah, again, people can join. И все, кто хочет присоединиться, потом, пожалуйста, присоединяйтесь, чтобы была общая дискуссия.
Jump into the discussion. Aliyah Janibek, so please, who would like to start?
У вас есть мнение по первому и второму вопросу?
Да, добрый день еще раз. С вашего разрешения.
And again, with your permission and with the permission of the 2nd volunteer, my distinguished colleague, well, I could comment on question number 2. Is that okay? Yes, please, go ahead. Again, I greet you all. I would like to thank all the previous speakers. Yes, indeed, fascinating input from Janar regarding their experience on accreditation and quality assurance. We wish you success, well-being, and prosperity. Now, regarding the question number 2, the monitoring process in order to assess the pedagogic programs in training teachers and working in schools. Well, first of all, I believe that it is important to set up goals and expectations in this particular organization. For instance, if it was us, we would start with clear goals and clear expectations, thinking what graduates, how we're going to coach them, how we're going to train them, and how in overall this program will contribute after its implementation. So I believe that setting expectations and goals is important. Then various monitoring criteria. For instance, it could be the students themselves, the teachers who will be engaged directly in these educational programs. Another point is to identify the KPI, the key performance indicators. For instance, if I were a teacher, I'd be interested in how my organization will motivate me, not only financially, of course, but also as a spiritual motivation, as an enlightenment, as an encouragement of my work. It's also very crucial, very important to me. Another point for KPI, that would be general level of the students, their level of satisfaction, the way how they comprehend the knowledge in general, and also the teachers in terms of their assessment, the satisfaction by their teaching, the satisfaction of teachers by the program and by the process in general. And it's important to develop the assessment tools as well. What tools we will be using in order to assess and monitor this. Opinions of the students, new educational program, the teachers, etc. Perhaps it would be possible to create certain focus groups, not only through an online platform where the language, the script can be generated to analyze that all, but also through face-to-face engagements. This is what I was telling you about yesterday. I believe that face-to-face communications are crucial. We're all human beings. We need to see each other. We need to engage. Using the example of our university, our Center of the Quality Assessment, we have 7 types of sociological research. We send the questionnaire between the students, the teachers, the staff of our university, for other various items, the ecosystem, just like I gave you an example about the quality of the disciplines that are taught. We could also apply that for the pedagogic programs as well. And 2 last concepts, so to say. 1 is a constant monitoring, analysis of data, and feedback. Yes, indeed, data analysis and feedback after implementation of such sociological researches, let's say focus groups, questionnaires, etc. We need to identify what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses. Again, based on the survey, based on the interviews, focus groups, we could identify all that. The meetings could be rather, let's say, creative. We could also brainstorm all together and measure the temperature, so to say. And there needs to be a constant monitoring system in terms of this educational program, not only to identify who are the great performers, who are the poor performers amongst the students, but in general, how to ensure overall quality and the knowledge comprehension amongst the students. That's what we do in our university. We try to engage into that assessment. And for the pedagogic programs, it's important to conduct that continuous monitoring, that continuous assessment. And each organization is in a position to decide, depending on the quantity of such programs and all the above listed tools, they will lead to this constant improvement, to this constant development. This is it, briefly, about all the aspects that will bring it to perfection. As we say, practice makes perfect. And by the time when we move forward, we will see, let's say, what are the gaps to eliminate so that the implementation will be done. Thank you very much for your attention. Aliya, thank you. Thank you very much indeed. I can see that you are a senior expert on quality assurance and certification process, correct? The answer, well, yes, before I used to work in the accreditation department, and right now I'm a senior specialist for quality assurance. I'm so impressed that you said that you have 7 surveys, sociological surveys. Yes, indeed, it is a large scope of work. In addition to it, we also monitor the educational programs based on the regulations, based on the standards and the legislation. We also have our internal regulations and the sociological research. They're based on the guidances. So we follow the normative base, and everything is in order, within all the order that we have in the legislation. Rahmet, Kop Rahmet. Thank you very much, Aliya. Now, Janibek, the next question, you said you would like to answer question number 3. Please, the floor is yours. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Yes, indeed, I have an input on question number 3. I would like to say the following. There is a word, constant improvement, continuous improvement. We do not need it now. Because basically, when we take, let's say, one educational program, it is designed for 4 years. We started one in 2019, and it is designed, and we're not in a position to accommodate any changes. As you know, we transferred to a new program, and yes, indeed, we do make some changes, some updates whenever it is required, when the legislation is being changed or certain regulations are being changed. But in the end, what do we get at the end of 4 years? We're not in a position to see anything due to all those constant changes. This is why when it is written constant or continuous improvement, I am of an opinion that we do not need to improve it constantly. If it is designed for 4 years, we need to see the results of those 4 years. Otherwise, we do not see any results if we constantly continue to improve it. This is my solid opinion. Another thing I would like to say, the strategies. I think about this item that basically when we collect the data based on the surveys of students, teachers, etc., we can see what strategies are important to them. And the university needs to work with the Association of Alumni, because we believe that every graduate is a future business partner of our university. This is everything I wanted to say. Thank you. Well, you said that it's important to work with the alumni, with the graduates. It is indeed important. Thank you.
No? Okay. Any volunteers, any other comments based on what other people have said? So, Aliya, Хамным Жанибек Мырза, рахмет сізге, көп рахмет по этим 3 вопросам. Ну и вчера вот тоже мы говорили про
And yesterday we spoke about cooperation, because now we have our dear colleagues from the rural schools. We've all learned yesterday how important it is to engage, to involve principals from the rural schools, teachers, when we talk about the quality. Excuse me, may I ask you one clarification question? Yes, please, go ahead. I would like to ask you about the second question. What do you mean? Training of teachers, getting them ready to work in a classroom. What does it mean? We have the educational program. The student is getting the knowledge. Theory is theory. But I think that the crucial matter is that how he or she will use it in practice. Or am I wrong? Yes, indeed. When we monitor the activity of the graduates of these programs, we will be able to assess the efficiency of such programs. So my understanding was correct? Yes, your understanding was correct. For instance, when, let's say, a teacher is not perceiving the comprehensive critical thinking, knowledge, monitoring, or something, it means that we omitted something in our curriculum, which is a very trendy word right now in the educational programs. So you, as the principal of a rural school, you can definitely inform the creators of such programs, the pedagogical universities. Yes, exactly. If I may, I will continue my thought. You see, the organization of monitoring as such needs to be a joint activity. Basically, the schools can also be an expert community, the community of experts, of joint colleagues from universities and from schools. For instance, when we give the theoretical knowledge to a student and then he or she goes to school, that expert group can conduct that creative analysis based on a method of lesson study when the experts are attending the classes and when the experts see how the student is engaging with the audience, with the pupils, what knowledge does he have? Is he or she bringing useful information and makes that useful input? That all needs to be monitored. And then the feedback from the expert community to those people who create that curriculum, that is a crucial part. That is the link we need to strengthen. And I do believe that the most value comes from it because it will enable us to identify what are the pluses and minuses in this process. This is my comment, if I may.
Сообщество, да, Сергей Валерьевич, большое
So the
спасибо.
importance of the community is something that AC Ari maybe will also contribute into your comment and maybe agree with your comment because they've already said it. Our country is quite a big one, and I think even in the region we could create the platforms. And even Nazarbayev intellectual schools, for example, the pedagogical excellence branch or center of pedagogical excellence is something that is dealing with it. Thank you so much, Sergey Valerievich. Ludmila, Kairat, I would also like to contribute into this talk if it's possible. Well, when we are preparing the efficiency, for example, monitoring, how exactly we could create it. So what could we do? Pedagogy pre-service teachers, for example, and they just entered to the service, in order to start, so give them opportunity to immerse into our community, the culture. We need to show everything first, so there should be some induction process, but then we should start doing. So if we talk about formative assessment, in order to see the efficiency, we need to all the time for 3 years to monitor, for example. I'm speaking on behalf of the rural schools, so we have mentoring process for 3 years. We also have the monitoring from the authorities. So that is why the link between the university and the schools is essential here. Did I say it too direct? Am I too straightforward saying this? Thank you. So this is something that I wanted to tell you because it is very important, because some doesn't know, for example, the content of the new curriculum. So that is why among us, we need to have very close relationship. It's very important comment. Thank you so much. Well, we had a test for the refreshment of the content because it has just started being implemented. All of the innovation methods are just implemented. Ludmila, please. Good afternoon, everyone. Keep tracking my ideas. I remember the first online session, and I think directors of the rural schools are not supposed to be here because all of us are from representatives of the universities. But now, more and more, I am getting convinced that this is awesome idea to have the representatives of the schools, especially the rural schools, so that we could have this smooth system that we are hoping for. You start being immersed in a university life, and then it gives you idea how exactly we could improve. It seems like there is a big difference in approaches, but many things we could actually borrow from each other. I've already mentioned that all of us are dealing with the quality of new curriculum, the quality of the different learning processes, education processes, starting from the principals, psychologists, and the heads, and even there's an army, I should say. But now I look at the system of the quality assurance and I'm listening. We do everything, but at the same time, we don't have a holistic system. We attract everyone, all of the stakeholders, the parents, everyone. We reflect, state reflects. But in reality, the quality is not the best one. So I came to an idea, of course, maybe on volunteering beginnings, we need at schools to have a specialist on quality assurance or control of the quality or monitoring of the quality. I could try to do that so that it will be in one hands, because the heads have different parts. Psychologist has different functions, but in a narrow understanding of the quality of education, it's something that we need to think about. Because even the provost, let's say, on the methodological work, and we won't deal with this. I would like to express my gratitude for the speakers. We actually have to have this kind of quality assurance system. It will bring to the results, very good results actually. There are so many ideas that could be applied at schools. And of course, I would like to draw your attention on the link with the universities. We already see that it is bringing some results, good results, because we're thinking about it. We keep thinking about. So I would like to express my gratitude to you for this work, even motivation actually, to change everything for better, for benefits of all, is actually happening due to working together. Thank you so much, Ludmila, for this insight. And we tried to create this platform in order to establish the dialogue between schools and universities, because this is a unique project. And we will have only 2 sessions, and then we will have conclusive seminar in Astana, and we won't see each other probably. We won't have this kind of collaboration. Thank you so much. We won't lose each other anymore. Maybe Finnish colleagues would like to add something. There is an understanding as the curriculum leader, because there is a unit in the organizational structure in the School of the Bachelor School, in NIS, for example, Nazarbayev Intellectual School. They have the subject department. Maybe it could be made in even public schools. on the level of my methodological unions, create new unit of specialists on the quality assurance. It's a good food for thought, I think. But volunteering might become exploitation, so let's not exploit people, because we're at schools we're exploit a lot.
Здесь нам пишут...
Yes.
Так,
Maybe I could continue a moment for here. So I'd like to thank you. I'd like to express my gratitude to you, Alia, and Johnny Beck, Sergey, Nazira, Ludmila, for your very interesting perspectives and very good aspects. Thank you for contributing this discussion. I think this is something very important for all of us. Discuss openly and hear each other's experiences and share this expertise, amazing expertise you have on this field. And I also think it's very important that you could have some kind of platform or log for your collaboration and guidelines for your collaboration in the near future too. And hopefully we could have possibilities to continue cooperation, but at least I wish you can maintain this great network you have created within this leadership program. Thank you, Rahmet, spasiba.
Essi and Kairat.
Yes,
Okay.
Ari, please.
Maybe this my comment goes to the rural school principal, because in the Finland actually the quality assurance programs in the school level are quite new one. We don't have had any that kind of national orders, national framework, but I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, our Ministry of Education established a committee to think about it, that what will be the quality assurance targets of the Finnish high school. And I just take a look what our national agency is saying about this new quality assurance strategy of the Finnish high school. There's 4 different topics to follow and somehow measured and describe. The first one is quality of learning. Then coming the next one, and I knew that this was quite big issue. It was the well-being and participation, how the students' well-being is organized and how they can participate the school life. Then the third one is maybe it's our topic today. It's the developing school culture, organization culture, how the school develop this kind of way to work. I think it's very much about what was our first topic today. And then what is very important in Finnish, Finland, but I think it also in Kazakhstan, is that how well the students in different part of the country can reach the high school. Because you know that also in Finland we have the isolated areas where the schools are not existing in every village. So if you like to offer equal education in Finland, we must take care of that. Mm-hmm. So I think that I can put this link in our chat. Okay, it's in the Finnish, but the Google Translator is our best friend, so you can take a look of that and see some headlines and topics what we have put it in our quality assurance program. Thank you.
Thank you, Ari. Спасибо отдельно за полезный материал, потому что...
Thank you so much for useful material that you have shared. Well, Finnish policies and rules and framework is very important for us because we need to orientate ourselves towards Finnish education system level and quality level.
Okay. Any more comments or questions or... Oh, thank you, Ari. So Ari отправил ссылку. Можете скопировать для себя.
I have already sent the link. Please copy the link.
И все знают, как пользоваться Google Translate.
Does everyone know how to use Google Translate? How you just copy paste. It's a website called Google Translate. You can read anything you want. We have only 15 minutes left till the end of this session.
I think shall we wrap it up, this discussion, and
Yes.
move?
Yes, thank you, everyone. This was very interesting, and I love to listen you. And I think that it was very important to wish that you don't lose each other and you will continue working together. So that was nice to hear also. But today we have had very interesting guests and conversations, and Pia and me, we were listening here and sending also a message to each other that we want to thank you all for being active and being here with us. It was very important for sure for all of us, but also for our guests and the speakers today. And I want to remind you about tomorrow and about the Friday. And maybe you want to remind your colleagues also to join us, because today we only have 80 persons here. If you are in contact with your colleagues, maybe you can remind them that tomorrow we will meet here and we have a special guest opening tomorrow's session, very interesting micro-credentials. And also we have a guest, Kairat, can you tell about the other thematic presentation that we have tomorrow about? It was our rural school representative, right?
Yes. Да, у нас будет...
Yes, we are going to have one more volunteer from our list of the participants, the principal of the rural school, Bahia Hamidovna. She's going to share her experience on the management of the school, the learning processes, education processes at school. Will be very interesting to listen to her. We have already listened the perspective the day before yesterday in the management of the internalization of the curriculum. We had a guest speaker, Janar. I would like to express my gratitude to all of you. And tomorrow we're going to listen to a presentation of Bahia Hamidovna on the issues of the rural schools.
Yes. And at the end of the session, we will have a self-assessment, and it's very important that everyone is here answering the self-assessment. You will assess your own work, but you will also give the kind of a final feedback to us about the whole leadership training. And we are very happy if you are here to answer it. And if not, someone doesn't join us tomorrow in online, well, we will find a way to have the self-assessment, but it's better to be here because we are answering the self-assessment here and right now, tomorrow. So it doesn't, you don't have to do it as a homework, let's say like that. And we will have also on Friday this online session, and we have a special guest there also, but also we have a very interesting panel discussion there. And we hope to see many of you here online.
Johanna, can you tell us about this, the final seminar in Astana? Some people were wondering what happens in May.
Yes, if it's okay, we could have that information on Friday when we meet Maaret, our director from HAM Global. I think that it's better that she will tell you about the final seminar.
Мгм.
because she is the one who is organizing it. So she will
Okay.
be happy to tell more about that. That's one reason also to come and join us on Friday to meet Maaret.
Motivation.
Yes, motivation. But I will say thank you and see you again tomorrow.
Çok rahmet. Kiitos. Спасибо.
Bye.
Rahmet,
Thank you.
thank you. See you
Rahmet.
tomorrow.
Спасибо.
Thank you.
Рахмет.
Rahmet.
Sağ olun.
За комментарии.
Керемет болды барлығы. Рахмет сіздерге.
Everything was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You.
Bye bye.
Sağ olunuzlar.
Рахмет. Отдельно спасибо всем за открытые камеры. Было очень
And thank you for the
хорошо видеть
interpreter.
ваши лица.